Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Mountainside Podcast. Our guest for this episode is retired U.S. Army General Clay Hutmacher. Clay spent over 40 years serving the United States military throughout various branches. 35 of those years was spent flying or commanding Special Operations Forces in the 160 SOAR. But above all that, Clay is a great person, and now that he's retired, he has moved his focus on helping fallen soldiers' families. Clay is now the president and CEO of Special Operations Warrior Foundation, taking care of what's most important to our fallen soldiers, their children. I thoroughly enjoyed sitting down with Clay today, learning about his military background and what he's doing now, and I hope you enjoy this episode as much as I did. Clay, welcome to Colorado. Thank you so much for being here. It's a long journey for you.
It was, yeah, and this is not like Tampa. We don't have snow in Tampa, right. So yeah, this was a bit of a shock, yeah.
Did you leave your flip-flops at home? Or?
I did. I had to break out my Tommy Bahama sweater, which gets very little use down there in Tampa, I've got to say. So.
I'll bet. Well, for our listeners that don't know you and don't know what you've done in your past, you've had a pretty epic military career. You were a 2-star general. Flew for the 160 SOAR. I'm a helicopter geek, so I'm super pumped to have you in here right now and talk about military aircraft and firepower and all that cool shit.
I can talk about that ad nauseum. Trust me, did a lot of it. So
hell yeah. No, ever since I was a little kid, I think I was going to be a pilot when I grew up. I was going to be a helicopter pilot. The school I went to, the elementary school, is literally a stone's throw from here.
Okay. So you're from here. Okay.
Yeah. Grew up here. I left here at 18 years old, and this was the worst spot in the world. And then as soon as I had kids, it was like, wait a minute, where do I want them to grow up? But anyways, at the elementary school, they landed a Flight for Life helicopter there. And this thing is like bright orange, yellow stripes. The pilots got out and talked to us. We got to sit in the helicopter. And ever since I saw that, I was just enamored by it, right? Yeah. So I was going to be a helicopter pilot my whole life. And then I was probably, 10, 11 years old, and I got my first taste of Metallica, a little bit of thrash metal.
Yeah.
And that changed everything, right? The helicopter flying went out the window. Still badass.
So you wanted to be in a hard rock band?
Yeah.
Okay.
Actually, I wanted to work for him, and I went and did that. It was awesome.
Did you?
Yeah, I went all over the world, and that's been my career since I got out of high school. I didn't go into college. I went straight into rock and roll and started touring with bands, and that was awesome, right? And I've gotten to do some really cool shit because of that career.
Yeah.
We've done some USO stuff. I've been on a lot of military bases. Later on in my career, I went on and did the 60-year anniversary of the Air Force. So we just toured every Air Force base in the U.S., and we did air shows there. And we got to go on the bases a lot earlier than civilians were allowed on, right? So we could build these structures or whatever was going on. So,
the stage.
And got to meet a bunch of awesome people, a bunch of awesome pilots and generals and crew chiefs and stuff like that. So that
very
was
cool.
Super rad. Cool. Yeah, I had spent an entire summer doing that. Totally epic. But, I guess growing up in the 80s too, you had like Airwolf.
Yeah,
Magnum
I remember.
PI.
I watched that show. Yep. Well, that's the same kind of little bird that he flies at the beginning of his show that we fly in the 160th.
Oh, it is.
I mean, it's an upgraded model. Yeah, I think he's flying an MD 500, probably a D.
Okay. I think that's Magnum.
Yeah, Magnum PI flies that. Yeah, the Airwolf is it's probably.
Remember he did the flip at the intro? It was just
not. Yeah, so helicopters are not really meant to do that. I'm not. That's it. That's the little bird that he flew. And if you Google awesome. 160th AH6 or MH6, you'll see that's what we fly. And I flew AH6s later in my career, but I flew armed 60s, a specially modified 60.
And that's a Black Hawk.
It's a Black Hawk that's armed. They only exist in the 160th.
Awesome. Jeremy, you'll have to see if you can find a photo
one right there.
One of these guys.
Oh, yeah, that's it. Awesome. That one on the right that's hovering is a more accurate. So it's got a 19-shot rocket pod.
Can you go full screen on that, Jeremy?
Yeah, let me see.
Yeah, can we talk about the firepower that's on this? Because this is
I'm looking at. I got a bit of an
man.
angle here. So what I think I'm looking at. So first of all, I'll start at the outboard stations, right? So on starting as you're facing the aircraft, the right side, you've got a 19-shot, 2.75-inch rocket pod. I believe that on the next inboard station, moving right to left, right where the cursor is, that's a 30-millimeter cannon. It's the M230.
Okay.
It's the same gun that's on the Apache. The Apache's is an articulating gun. This is a hard mount. We turned it 90 degrees, and it's a hard mount.
And what? I'm sorry, dialing it back here because I want to spend a little bit of time on this. So what are you using these specific weapons for? I mean, is one set up for a tank or a light armored vehicle? Some to building?
I think you pick. So these are special ops birds, right? So we're not going after big armor formations and stuff like that. I mean, this is mainly going after terrorists, right? Bad guys, ISIS.
So are you guys
Taliban,
air support for like
ground guys?
Guys,
special ops
sort of
on the ground.
Okay.
Yeah. So if you look, it's sort of hard to see, and this is this. I don't think this is a 160th aircraft, but because there's a couple things that are sort of weird on it. But if you look just inside that second station where the 30-millimeter was, you have the minigun. You see those are up. Those aren't on the wings. Those are out on the gunner's windows. Yeah. So we use those 7.62 miniguns. Those are good for troops. So if we got troops close to them, we're worried about hitting our own guys, we use miniguns for that.
And is that's like 6,000 rounds a minute or something, right?
Miniguns shoot, well.
It's like a Gatling gun?
It is. It's a Gatling gun. Yeah, it's a there's a 50 cal version called the Gal 19, which the little birds use.
Okay.
But these shoot at 2 rates of fire, 2,000 and 4,000. So I think when we use them in a fixed forward mode, that's what we call that, we're shooting them at 4. But like a door gunner is using them, they'll shoot at 2. And this is all about managing your ammunition supply. And, you don't want to run out of Schlitz early in a fight, right?
Yeah, blow your wad at the beginning,
listen,
right?
And when these things shoot, a minigun shoots, I mean, it's like a wood chipper. They are.
Oh, yeah. It sounds like a chainsaw.
Yeah, that's exactly right. So you've got to have some big cojones to stand up when if we're shooting this at you.
Yeah, no joke.
Oh, yeah,
man.
It trashes them. It looks like they got a
Do they shoot tracer rounds out of them? Like, I think I've seen some video of them.
Yeah, you can get, we sometimes shoot tracer. The problem with tracer is it helps you see where you're hitting, but it also shows the enemy where you're shooting from. Yeah. So there's different types of tracer mix. So like a 1-7, a 1-14, or no tracer at all. Because if you're on night vision goggles, you can see better. Yeah. So, we shoot tracer. No tracer on the 30. It looks like it's another 30 on that. Now I'm on the left side of the aircraft.
Yeah, it looks like it's set up symmetrically.
Yeah, we don't normally run them that way. So the way we run in the 160th is we'll run a one hard point on each side, and it's mainly a weight constraint.
I'm sorry to interrupt you, but is the control on your joystick, or because you're flying at the same time? Is your gunner? Do you have a gunner?
No, it's 2 pilots up front, so none of those weapons articulate. So there's no like manual. I mean, the guy.
So you're moving the aircraft,
right? Yeah. Exactly. So it's like the gun on an A-10, right? I mean, that thing doesn't move. The airplane moves. Yeah. Right, so we'll line that up, and we'll have either a heads-up display in the cockpit, or sometimes you'll see them. They'll have a couple of lasers, IR lasers, mounted on the nose, bore-sighted. So you put those on the target, and then that tells you where you're going to hit. And then on the last one out there is you got 4 Hellfires on that outboard station on the left side. And so you got to, we'll use those for structures. There's different types of warheads you can put on there. Like the standard warhead when the Hellfire first came out was for a tank, right? Okay. So that, puts a very small charge with what they call SPAL that'll go through there and kill everybody in the tank and take the tank out. But that's
so it penetrates the tank. And then,
right, so it's designed to go against heavy armor. That's not optimum for buildings and things like that. So they've come up with some alternative warheads that work better for reducing a building, dropping a building. Like if there's a weapons cache in there, we want to drop it.
You want to drop it straight down.
Right, drop it straight on there and destroy the weapons. Or there's a blast fragmentation where you want to clear a room, right? So different type of mission set than that anti-armor round that the Hellfires sometimes use. They're one of their different types of warheads.
What is that white ball on the bottom? Is that some sort of radar, or is that?
Well, that's a FLIR, and ours are painted black. I think this may be a demo bird by Sikorsky or an Air Force bird. They had a weapons program early on, but that's a FLIR. And, you got laser designator. This one looks like it has a laser designator looking by the number of windows, those round ports on there. So, you can magnify, and sometimes you can fuse that with a day TV, so you can stand off. But, they call us the Night Stalkers, so we fly at night. So we use the FLIR a lot.
Yeah, I bet. Man, that is awesome. This is my bucket list. I've been in a lot of helicopters. I mean, I wasn't really into drugs all that much, being a roadie, the normal cliche.
That's probably a good
thing. I worked really hard, and I spent most of my money on helicopter tours and stuff like that.
Oh, very cool.
But super cool. But this is definitely on the bucket list.
Yeah, that's a.
I don't know if it'll ever happen.
Well, that's I think sort of a promo shot, because if you're carrying a bunch of gas and you got armament and all that stuff, that's a heavy airplane. That's a pig trying to fly.
Oh, I bet.
Yeah,
it's basically like a hovering A-10, right? I mean.
Yeah, we got a few more options. Well, A-10 can carry ordnance too, but it's got a lot of firepower. And
then, correct me if I'm wrong, but those 30 millimeter rounds that you were talking about, and I actually might have some brass.
Yeah, now an A-10 30 millimeter round is different. It's a different type of.
I don't know. I got these from some SEAL buddies. That Stein up there is 100.
That's a 105. 105.
Yeah, 105.
That's a howitzer, maybe off an AC-130.
Those lower ones right here.
Yeah, those look like could be. I'd have to look at the bottom. Yeah, that one may be a 40 or a 30. Let me look here. Yeah, I don't know. That looks a little big to be a 30 to me.
That is one big-ass bullet, though.
Yeah,
that's all I got to say, man.
That's a 40. That's what I thought. Okay. This is a 40 millimeter.
But pretty close to that. I mean,
yeah. I mean, a 40, some of it, we like the 30 over the 40 because the 40, like a Mark 19 grenade launcher, shoots 40 millimeter, right? So you got more of a lob. You want the flatter it shoots, the higher velocity, like a 30. Like a really good gun is the 25 millimeter. I think they call it the Bushmaster. I think maybe the Harriers shoot it super flat. It's like shooting a hunting rifle. And that makes it easier to aim. Less ballistic calculations that go into it. It's just,
just a hotter round, too.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly right.
That's awesome. So back to kind of what I was asking there. I think that you can switch there's different, would you call them heads or bullets that shoot out of there? Like that do different things, right?
Are you talking Hellfires or?
As far as the 30 millimeter. So they have some that break up into shrapnel.
Yeah,
and stuff
I think
like that.
there are different, like an API round, armor-piercing incendiary. The round that and I'm not an expert on the 30, but the round that we had a serrated wire wrap, so it gives you a uniform blast. So if I remember right, I believe the lethal bursting radius on a 30 is 3 to 5 meters. And it shoots at a cyclic rate of fire of 600 rounds per minute. So do the math. You're firing 10 of those rounds in a second.
Yeah.
So 1,000.
And what's the range on them?
We shoot them traditionally closer, but you can go way out over a mile with those. But it really...
That's so rock and roll, man. Our military... I mean, is there any other military that has this sort of air support for...
Yeah, I mean, the Russians have Havoc, they have Heinz. They've got some pretty capable helicopters. I mean, I think our helicopters in the U.S. are the most advanced in the world. I mean, we did the missions post 9/11 into Afghanistan. No other country in the world could have done that.
Yeah.
I mean, include air refueling capability, all of that stuff. So... yeah, I think, I'm pretty proud of and the 160th is a rock and roll outfit. I mean, we were born a failure. We were created after the failed rescue attempt to get the 52 Americans out of Tehran called Operation Eagle Claw.
Yep.
The country did a reset and said, okay, we need to do something different. And they said, we can't be a pickup game. So the 160th and other units were created as a result of that failure.
And how do guys get into flying those?
Well, you can't get assigned there. You have to apply. You have to go through an assessment process. I went through it. Everybody goes through it. And then there's a training process that takes better part of a year, ground and air training, and then you're just a co-pilot. So you got a couple tours under your belt as an Army aviator, and we have Air Force and Navy. A lot of guys cross over, Marines cross over, but then you have, now you're in a year, better part of a year training, and you're a co-pilot, and then it takes you another couple years to get signed off as a pilot in command. We call it an FMQ, fully mission qualified aviator, and then the pinnacle for a pilot in the 160th is a flight lead designation. And very few make that, but they're the ones that lead us into combat. And that takes probably flying in the unit anywhere between 4 and 8 years to get that.
That's crazy. That's really awesome. I mean, how much time do you have behind the stick? I mean, as long as you did 40 plus years?
I did, yeah. I wasn't flying that whole time. But I, for a commissioned officer in the Army, I had some very respectable flight time. I think I was somewhere around 3,500 hours, probably.
God dang, that's crazy.
Over 1,000 night vision goggle hours.
Wow.
And probably somewhere between 300 and 500 combat. I don't know, I never really kept track. But and that is good for a commission guy. I will tell you in the 160 that it's not uncommon to find aviators there with over 1,000 hours in combat.
Wow.
Yeah. So
especially now, right? I mean, we've been at war for a while.
Right.
Yeah.
I tell people we deployed after 9/11, and like the other units deploy and come home. Yeah, we've never came home. So we're still deployed.
Wow. Man, we get the pleasure of occasional, with the Air Force being right down the road here in Colorado Springs, we get some F-16s flying by, but we get the occasional Blackhawks flying around here too.
Oh, do you?
I don't know if they're out doing mountain training or something.
We lost a bird at Mount Massive a few years ago.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they were doing some high altitude training, prepping for deployment to Afghanistan, and they were landing on a pinnacle up there and just exceeded the aircraft's capabilities and killed 4.
Oh, man.
So it's at the 14,000 foot point on Massive.
Wow.
Yeah, they had stopped in Leadville right before that. Got some gas and went up there. And it was just a bad deal all around. We lost some good guys.
That's horrible, man. Is this your first time? I mean, obviously not your first time in Colorado, but your first time in this area?
Yeah. I mean, I've been to Denver before. I've been to see 10th Group at Colorado Springs, and so I've been through here, but I haven't been out here in the mountains.
Awesome. Well, welcome to Evergreen. What'd you think of the drive up?
I was very cool.
Mountains or anything?
Yeah, well, it was snowing.
Yeah.
Again, so it was very cool.
Yeah.
I called my wife when I was driving out the hotel this morning, and I said, coming from Tampa, it's like 80 degrees. We were swimming. We had to put the heater on, but we were swimming in the pool. I said, you ain't doing none of that here.
Right.
So,
and you were coming from Cafaro, right? You just
I did a podcast with Aaron there. That was very cool.
Knocking it out here in Colorado.
I got another one this afternoon. And
we're big fans of Cafaro Cast here, so he's got a great outdoor podcast. So I would imagine you came up I-70 then. Yeah?
I did.
Okay.
I did.
Well, you'll have to come back, man, and hopefully it'll be a clear day because it's breathtaking. Once you get to that Genesee exit, it's just a panoramic picture of mountains you probably didn't see.
And I grew up in Washington State with the Cascades.
Oh, so
I'm a huge lover of the mountains.
Yeah, no, it's super awesome. We got a buffalo herd right there. There's normally some elk hanging out, eating the hay from the buffalo herd, so you have elk and buffalo in the same.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah,
I love that.
Which is kind of cool. But so your background, you said you grew up in Seattle. Can we dive? We kind of briefly touched on it before the podcast, and I was like,
I'll
wait
tell
a minute,
you.
Hold this,
Yeah, so. If you want, I'll tell you about my military. So I was north of Seattle. I lived in a little town, Lake Stevens, right by Everett, Washington. Yeah. For your listeners out there that probably from that area would recognize.
We actually have a bunch of listeners up there. It's outside of Denver. It's our second most downloaded city is up in Seattle area.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I joined. I was 17. I dropped out of high school, and I knew I needed a kick in the ass, so I joined the Marines. That was quite a kick in the ass, I would have to say. And I, did 6.5 years in the Marines. I went back to school, got my diploma, started going to college at night, and heard about this warrant officer flight program in the Army. I was stationed at the time in Whidbey Island, Washington, as part of a Marine security detachment. They closed it several years ago. So I went down to Fort Lewis and did my flight physical down there, took all my flight aptitude tests down there. I had to go through a series of interviews with Army aviators, and I got picked up. So I ended up, after 6.5 years in the Corps, I went in the Army. I went through flight school in 85, graduated in 85, and went to the 101st as a Black Hawk pilot. And then I realized, being a warrant officer was a great job. I loved it. I mean, but it's a technical sort of focus, right? They want you to be in the cockpit. And I love flying, but I also, as a non-commissioned officer in the Marines, I appreciated the leadership aspect of my service. So I had very little time to make the decision. I just said, you know what, I'm going to go to officer candidate school, because they assured me I'd still fly. Because I would be branched aviation. So I did that. While I had my packet in, was waiting for approval to go to officer candidate school at Fort Benning, Georgia. I applied to be in the 160th. I didn't even know what it was, right? They didn't have names.
It wasn't really established then, right?
Well, it existed, but it was not acknowledged.
Okay.
So, like in front of their buildings, there was no signs or anything. They didn't wear a patch at the time, which was weird because everybody wears a patch in the Army. That's your unit.
Yeah.
But anyway, I applied, and they laughed at me. I was a young warrant officer. They said, you don't even have close to the experience we're looking for. Just go away and come back in a few years. But I kept going over there every month, and then when I graduated.
So it was persistence. It wasn't like you were drawn out.
I didn't take no for an answer. So I'm
sorry to interrupt you, but your whole career, I got to ask this question. I mean, you go from being a high school dropout.
Yeah.
Right? You said you were in foster home?
I was, yeah.
How do you become a two-star general? Was that always your path? Like,
never.
I'm going to be a general someday?
Never. No.
Okay, I'm sorry. Back to your background.
No, I wasn't. That was never.
I just was wondering if that was like the vision, or
no, God, no.
Okay.
It was, I mean, I remain surprised and bewildered by the whole thing myself.
I think it's awesome, man.
Yeah, I mean, it's not. It's certainly not a traditional path. But
correct me if I'm wrong. A lot of generals come out of like
West Point,
or
ROTC. Uh-huh. There are a fair number of officer candidate school types.
Uh-huh.
But they're definitely the minority.
You were a boots on the ground guy.
Yeah. And so anyway, I went to officer candidate school. I graduated. I called back up to the 160 and I said, I know you turned me down, but I just got out of OCS. I still want to try out. And I don't know what came over him. I just caught the guy on a good day, but the recruiter, he said, okay, we'll give you a shot. And he called my assignments guy, and who wasn't happy about it, but he let me do it. And I got picked up. So as a second lieutenant, which was rare, right? You usually get there as like a captain.
At that point, did you know what you were going into? Did you know anything about the program at that point?
Well, I knew they existed. I knew they were at a high, they were like graduate level kind of flying, right?
Okay.
Very demanding flying. And frankly, I wasn't sure I'd make the cut,
Yeah.
But I went there as a second lieutenant, and it was perfect timing. When I got there, we were in the Persian Gulf, participating in an operation called Prime Chance. And it was President Reagan had just reflagged the Kuwaiti tankers to U.S., and the Iranians were laying mines in the Gulf to try to sink these tankers. So we were operating off of barge, like seaborne barge platforms.
So water takeoff.
Well, we were on it almost looks like an oil rig, but it's made, what it was designed to do, the one I was on the Hercules. It was designed to build oil rigs, right? So they tow it out there.
Okay, I got you.
It's got cranes and all that stuff. And it wasn't just us. There were SEALs on there. But we'd launch off of that and patrol at night looking for the Iranians doing something nefarious.
Yeah.
And, I didn't have any enemy activity go on when I was there. I didn't have any contact, but we did engage and sink a ship or disable a ship. It eventually was sunk. So I got a chance to do 3 tours doing that. And then right after that, we went into Panama to get Noriega. So I got to do that.
Which is
Just Cause in Panama, 89 to 90.
Yeah. I remember that. That was like the first, I was a kid then.
Yeah.
That was
like the first combat.
Yeah. And I had a cousin that was like a removed cousin that was in the military that I looked up to.
Uh-huh.
And I don't think he had anything to do with that, but he was in the Navy, and I just remember that was the first conflict that I actually remember. And
Yeah, 82nd was involved in that.
That was pretty technical, wasn't it? Like there was a lot of targets, and
we hit. I mean, I was pretty impressed. It was very complex. It's been a long time ago, but I believe we hit somewhere around 27 targets simultaneously at like 1 a.m. And one of them was a hostage rescue of a guy named Kurt Muse, who had been arrested by Noriega and was kept in a prison called La Comandancia, which was right downtown Panama City. So I got to do that, and I thought, wow, this is it, man. This is we'll never do anything like this again. This was too cool. Well, who knew? 10 months later, I'm sitting in the desert in, Desert Storm. We're going to war after Iraq invaded Kuwait. And I was flying that same 60 you saw DAPS, but we were going after the Scuds being shot into Israel. Yeah. Because remember, I don't know if this was a long time ago, but there was a coalition to push Iraq out of Kuwait.
Yep.
Of Arab countries, right? Saudi, Syria, I don't know who else.
You want to know what's funny? The only thing I remember from that whole war, like I remember watching on TV, it was like Tom Brokaw, at night, and there was Scuds going off behind him or something, right? It was always like
Patriots. Those were Patriots interdicting the Scuds.
Right. Yeah, there we go. And I remember all the this is back before memes happened. Yeah. And the Simpsons were really popular then.
Yeah.
So there was all these Bart and Homer Simpson like memes about the war. I don't know. It was just weird.
Well, I was sitting in the middle of the desert. Yeah. So my job was to stop the Scuds being shot into Israel. That was my job. And there was an air element. That's what I was doing, and then there was a ground reconnaissance element that was doing the same thing. And we were pretty successful. I mean, they stopped shooting them after we got up there, and
it seems like that went off kind of without a hitch, right?
It did.
I mean, we weren't there that long, were we? Was it about a year or something?
Yeah, not even, I think. Yeah. Maybe, well, there was a lot of units sitting in the desert for like 6-8 months before the war started.
Yeah.
So the actual conflict was over relatively quick. But the buildup took time, right? I mean, Iraq had a huge army, so the U.S. military built up. But I did that, and then, of course, I thought, well, we'll never do anything like that again. That's the last big deal.
Yeah.
And then I got into some other stuff over in Bosnia, Croatia, going after war criminals, not major conflict. And then 9/11 happened.
Oh, my gosh. Where were you when that happened? And what?
I was actually overseas.
Were you in the 160th at that point?
I was in the special ops community. I wasn't in the 160th at the time, but I was overseas on a SOF exercise in Hungary when it happened.
So you were right there.
Yeah, and we ended up flying back to the States, and then I don't know, 6 weeks later or 3 weeks later, I'm back over in Pakistan. So I was in the 160th or in the special ops community. I started out there in '88 in the 160th. After Desert Storm, I had to go to some military schools that I had to go to. And then I flew with Air Force Special Ops Command down at Hurlburt Field, Florida.
You just every branch, weren't you?
Yeah, I was flying down there as an Army guy. I mean, I was exchange. Yeah. But I flew with them for 4 years from 92 to 96 and loved it. Learned a lot. I was an instructor pilot down there and really had a blast, made some lifelong friends down there. A lot of them are 2 and 3 stars right now.
Awesome.
In fact, the current commanding general of Air Force Special Ops Command is Jim Slife, very close friend of mine. He was in my sister squadron when I was flying down there. So great tour. And then I stayed in the SOF community. Ended up going back to the 160th. I commanded first to the 160th, and then I commanded the 160th Regiment. And then while I was in the War College, I got selected for 1 star. And again, that wasn't part of the plan, right? I mean, I wasn't like, I didn't like, some snarky private saying, I'm going to be a general someday. Right. I was ecstatic when I made sergeant, I was like, wow, this is big time, know. But, I was fortunate, probably, 70% skill, 30% luck, right place, right time. Did a lot of, was involved in a lot of operations, and that probably helped. But yeah, I was. And then after I made general, I went to Afghanistan, and I stood up an Afghan Special Mission Wing to give them sort of a similar capability, which is doing very well, still operating there today. And then I was the commanding general of the Army Special Ops Aviation Command for a couple years. I went to Korea. I was the deputy commanding general of 2nd Infantry Division in Korea from 2014 to 15. And then I came back to Fort Bragg. I was the deputy commanding general of the U.S. Army Special Ops Command at Fort Bragg for a couple years. And then my final assignment is I was the director of operations of United States Special Ops Command. The J3 is what we refer to it in the military. And I did that for 18 months. And then I retired, and I ended up in the Special Ops Warrior Foundation.
Yeah, no, that's great. I want to get into the foundation here in just a minute. But can we talk about the 160th a little bit more?
Sure, absolutely.
And just kind of, what are they really responsible for? I mean, is it above and beyond, ground support and that sort of thing? You guys are the special operations in the air, basically, right?
Rotary wing.
Yeah,
so helicopters. We do have a unmanned aerial systems called the Gray Eagle. The Army, that we have 2 companies of those, and those guys are really good. They're drones, right? They're big drones. Predator. They're essentially look like a Predator. So we have 2 companies of those. I think it's 16 of them. But yeah, we are responsible as the 160th for providing rotary wing, both assault support, which is infiltration and exfiltration, and fire support, right? So we do that on the fire support in 2 platforms with the DAP, the bird we just talked about, and the AH-6, the Little Bird guns. And then we have really 3 types of assault platforms, biggest to smallest. We have the MH-47G, which is a Chinook, which is a beast. And I love it. I've done some of the best missions I ever did on
big ass bombs out of that.
Well, they don't bomb. They don't. Yeah. They carry big vehicles, or they carry a lot of people.
Yeah.
So it's funny. I'm not rated in them. Yeah, there's some pictures of them.
Okay.
I'm not rated in it, but I've been air mission commander, sitting in the jump seat of those on some of the best missions I've ever done. We had a terrorist camp in western Iraq. I was flying in the middle of those, flying underneath tracer fire with a Ranger unit.
So
it was
crazy.
Awesome. So we got the Chinooks, very capable, very good at high altitude, heavy weights. You got the Blackhawks, but it's a modified version of the Blackhawk. It's air refuelable. It's got
most
miniguns.
Blackhawks don't have those wings, right?
All Blackhawks have that as part of the kit for the airplane,
Okay.
But they have them. What they don't have is they don't have the armament that we have, and they don't have the air refueling capability that we have. They don't have the miniguns. They don't have a lot of the stuff in the cockpit. We have terrain following radar, so in clouds, we can fly over terrain at low altitudes.
Really?
Chinooks can do the same. And then we have the little birds.
I'm geeking out over here. I can't wipe the smile off my face.
Well, you saw
right
Black
now.
Hawk Down, right? That was the 160th that was on the actual name of that mission with Gothic Serpent.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that if you were in command when that all went
No,
down.
I wasn't there. I was flying with the Air Force at the time. But my very dear friend, and he's now on the board of the Special Ops Warrior Foundation, was Mike Durant. He was the guy that was captured there.
Mm-hmm.
I was his platoon leader when we were in Just Cause in Panama. I was his platoon leader when we were in Desert Storm. I was in his wedding. He was in my wedding. So we've been friends for a long time. I bought his house from him. I mean,
typical best buddy.
Yeah,
stuff,
he's doing
right?
great. He
Yeah.
lives in Huntsville. He's doing
That's
awesome.
great.
He's got his own company, but he's on the Special Ops Warrior Foundation board.
That's great.
Yeah, but he was
so you
captured.
guys still get to hang out then.
I remember this video when I was a kid.
Oh yeah, and his book is awesome. The Night Stalkers.
gosh.
I need to go back and read that. Yeah, I haven't. Read
I'm
that.
in there.
Okay, cool. I'll definitely check it out now.
Yeah, he's a good dude. Good guy. Good friend. Good officer. Good
Did
leader.
you ever see any air-to-air combat? I mean, were you guys ever in any situations like that? It's
No, there were a couple of, and that's not a helicopter thing. I mean, now, believe me, if they would have given me a chance to shoot down another helicopter or any kind of aerial platform, I would have been ecstatic, right? Because it's never been done, or at least to my knowledge, it hasn't. So, yeah, I would have went after, but that's not our mission, right? Our mission is air to ground. It's like an A-10.
So a lot of times is the 160th also responsible for dropping off, like, so when we went and got Osama, Were you guys giving SEALs and them a ride to there? Are they roping out of your guys' helicopters and then you guys are doing air support after that? Or I don't know how much you can get into. But.
Yeah, that I can't.
Okay.
I can't share if the 160th was involved in that mission. What I will share is this. When you see something bad happening to somebody bad and there's helicopters involved, it's probably the 160th. Yeah. So we'll leave it at that.
All right. So, I mean, after, 40 years and 20, correct me if I'm wrong, almost 20 of that was spent in some sort of rotary wing
Oh,
position,
no, more than
right?
that.
Yeah.
Maybe 35, 30, 34 of that.
How many times have you guys had a conflict where, I mean, how many helicopters have you seen go down? How many?
No, a lot.
A lot.
When I was the regimental commander, we lost 3 helicopters in 1 week, 2 Chinooks and a DAP.
Oh,
Yeah, DAP was shot down in Helmand Province on a day mission, got blown up in place. We lost 2 Chinooks. Fortunately, no fatalities.
Was that in Afghanistan? Was
all
that part of
those,
the lone
all
survivor?
3 of those. No, we were on that was our airplane that was shot down. That was a 160th bird that was hit with that RPG that killed. That was call sign for that mission, code name for that mission was Red Wings. And they call it Red Wings 19 because of the 3, that SEAL reconnaissance element. Marcus Luttrell, the only survivors, the other 3 were killed. That's 3. There were 16 on that helicopter, 8 SEALs and 8 160th. And the extra, normally we'd have a crew of 6 on a Chinook, but there was an air mission commander and a medic. So they call it the Red Wing 19 because they were hit, everybody was killed.
Yeah, that was tragic. Is there, for every different branch and every different division, it seems like there's a memorial.
There is.
Of something. Do you guys have one for the 160th?
We do.
I thought I saw it somewhere online or something.
Yeah, there's a black granite memorial in front of the regimental headquarters. And on that memorial are the names, dates, and the tail number and the type of aircraft they were flying. And it sits right outside the regimental headquarters.
Can the public see that, or is that
you
something
can't get
you have
on
to
the
be
compound?
on base?
I mean, we could be escorted. Yeah, he's got a picture of it there. That's it.
Jeremy, all over it.
Yeah, he's on it. That's an older picture. We actually expanded it and put a black granite wall underneath that because we ran out of room for names.
Oh, fuck.
So, we have, but that's our memorial. All units have them. And what I tell people, especially in my position as a Special Ops Warrior Foundation president and CEO, is I said, every SOF unit has a memorial. They're all different. They're all unique to their formations. And we all honor our fallen, I think appropriately. But behind every one of those names on whatever memorial is a whole family that's life was changed in the blink of an eye, right?
Yeah.
The real tragedy is just beginning for those families. One day they open their door and and there's a chaplain and a unit representative there to break the news, and nothing's the same ever since. So, that's why I got into the gig I'm in now.
Yeah, let's dive into that because I think now is the perfect time, and I think that it's really unique what you guys do. Aside from a lot of these there's a ton of foundations out there, and I'm not saying that any of them are bad or your guys' is the best or whatever, but I think that this is really cool what you guys do. I mean, right off the bat, this is the page, the front page.
Yeah, it's our website.
And it shows exactly who you're helping, and it goes beyond just the soldier or a veteran or something like that. You guys are supporting the family, right? In general, yeah.
So I'm
going to let you go for it.
All right, sounds good.
Instead of a dumb guy over here trying to explain it.
So the foundation is nearly 41 years old. Next month it'll be 41 years old. So the foundation, the Special Ops Warrior Foundation, was stood up in the aftermath, and I mentioned earlier the failed rescue attempt, Operation Eagle Claw, to rescue 52 Americans held in Tehran. That mission failed at a site called Desert One, which was a desert refueling site, when a helicopter collided on the ground with a C-130. That killed 8, 3 Marines, 5 airmen. Those 8 left behind 17 children. So the survivors of that mission, those that made it out, that were on that mission, made a commitment to take care of the college of those 17 kids. And that's how we started. But the missions continued. Today, and you saw it on that website briefly, we are committed to funding 992 children. The youngest of those is Dustin Ard. He was a year old January 4th. His father, Dustin Gabriel Ard, Sergeant First Class Dustin Gabriel Ard, a Green Beret in 3rd Group, was killed the August prior to his birth. So Dustin will never know his dad. But we are with him now and through, and I'll cover that in a minute. But we have 2 missions in the foundation, right? So we provide immediate financial assistance to severely wounded, ill, so cancer, something requiring long-term hospital care or inpatient hospital care, or injured special ops personnel. And that's not just operators, not just Green Berets or SEALs, but anybody that's within the special ops community. Okay? That's one mission. And that immediate financial assistance is
It's got to be so helpful, right?
Yeah, it's an overnight check, right? We send them up to $5,000 overnight, and it's really what I call, put the dogs in the kennel, fly your mom in to take care of the kids so you can go be with your loved one. It's just an immediate, hey, take care of those things that were unforecast expenses. And it's been very impactful. I got a note this week from one of the families, a handwritten thank you note, which was just very touching about, hey, we got this long road to recovery, but how helpful it was. And that's one mission. But our main mission remains education. And a lot of people think that it's a college scholarship program, right? And that's certainly a big part of it, but not nearly all of it. So we provide, and what's a little different than the wounded and this injured and ill, or ill and injured, is that special ops personnel. Our education programs cover all special ops personnel, but we also expanded it recently to cover the children of living and deceased Medal of Honor recipients. Okay, because I was surprised about how little was done for those recipients' kids. They certainly get special consideration for a service academy, but that may not be in the cards or in the some of those kids. So we help with those kids, and I think we're somewhere around 17 to 20 Medal of Honor kids. It's a relatively new addition to our program, but we've already added them. So our program, I said, it's more than a college thing, right? So we take a more holistic view of a kid's education. So we start at preschool. So we fund preschool, up to $8,000 per year per child for preschool. We fund unlimited tutoring from preschool through college graduation. Unlimited.
Wow.
So that's not only traditional subjects, math, science, English, geography, whatever it is, but also SAT prep, ACT prep, that kind of stuff. We fund their college visits. So them and a guardian to go go check out different colleges. We pay for that. We fund a course we've put on and fund a course in Tampa called EPIC, Education Preparation Information Conference. We bring the kids in, about 25 to 30 high school kids every year. We teach them financial management, teach them study skills.
So key.
And they live in the University of Tampa dorms. We help them write their essays. We help them, talk through, hey, what major do you want to pick? Where do you want to go to school? And it may be that they want to go to a trade school. They may want to go to a technical school. That's fine.
So it doesn't have to be a university or something like that.
Doesn't matter.
Yeah.
So we do that. The best part of that EPIC program, the mentors are graduates from our program. So they're kids that have had a similar life experience, and they live in the dorms with them. They mentor them. And I mean, it's a really pretty cool thing to see. So we pay for their college. If they want to be a hairstylist, if they want to be a plumber, if they want to be a mechanical engineer, a teacher,
whatever they
whatever they want. Yeah. In fact, our previous president, our first president, was a guy named John Carney. Great guy. He went to get his COVID shot at the James A. Haley Hospital VA hospital in Tampa the other day. One of our kids was a nurse there and gave him the shot. That was so cool, really right? Yeah, it's really cool. So we pay for that. If they get into Harvard, that's paid for. If they go to a local community college, that's paid for, and anything in between. We pay for them we pay them a stipend if they have an internship, and we pay for them to study abroad. Wow. We also have 2 mentorship programs that start in 8th grade to help kids figure out what they want to do. But also we have another one that starts in high school, but it's called Pivot U, to help them land an internship. So we have that. We have a special needs program.
So you guys are really there, by their side. It's not just like, here's your money, go figure it out.
We are with them every step of the way. And you're going to see.
And who needs it more? Somebody without a missing parent or a capable parent, right?
You're exactly right. Okay, so we have a special needs program. We have about 30 kids with varying different types of challenges, severity of challenges, and we tailor our programs for those families, specifically for them, right? So if they need just a little help, we have it. If they need, some of these are emotional issues because they've lost a parent. So we call it, the term we use in the foundation is cradle to career, right? That makes sense. Yeah. So that cradle to career approach, that very holistic approach, and we have 6 education counselors that's all they do. They deal with the families full time.
It's taking care of your investments, taking care of our future. I think it's awesome.
It is, and it's honoring those who have given the last full measure of their devotion for their country. So what's the result of that cradle to career approach? So last year we had 41 kids graduate high school. 38 went straight into college. 2 joined the military. 1 took a year off. Probably between 20 and 30% above the national average. Same year, 93% of our kids graduated college on time. Over 30% above the national average. Now think about it. These kids are most likely from a single-parent home. They've had a very traumatic experience. I think anybody listening would certainly agree that these are probably in a high-risk demographic, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So those high graduation, both high school, college attendance, all of that stuff is why the foundation exists. And, we've, I don't know if you're familiar, there's a charity watchdog group called Charity Navigator.
Yep. And I actually go on there.
Well, if you go on there, you'll see that I
saw your guys' rating on there already, actually.
4-star rating, which is the highest rating 15 years in a row. Our overhead last year was under 5%. So, really? Yes. And,
which is crazy. That's crazy for a foundation.
We are very, very lean. We're only 16 people. We count our pennies. We don't pay for advertising. That's one of the reasons I like to do these podcasts.
Well, we're enjoying having you here, man.
That's cool. So while you're on the website there, that picture that you see, if you can scroll up just a little bit. So if you go to that's actually a CBS News story. That's a really great, this was the first Medal of Honor family we took in. So that is Ron Shurer. That's his wife, Miranda, and his sons, Cameron and Tyler. I think he's at a football game. So let me tell you Ron's story. So Ron got the Medal of Honor. He was a Green Beret in 3rd Special Forces Group. He's a medic. But he had gotten out. He went to work for the Secret Service. He was working on a presidential protection team. I think they call him a CAT, counter assault team. Great guy. About a year and a half ago, he was diagnosed with lung cancer, and he passed away. Now, technically, Miranda and Cameron and Tyler were not eligible for our programs because he was out of the military. But we did an exception to policy, and I went up and met with Miranda and Cameron and Tyler at the Secret Service headquarters in D.C. about a year ago. It was right in the middle of COVID, actually. I was like walking through the airport by myself almost in D.C. And then I went and spoke with all of...
So this is real recent.
Oh, yeah. I spoke with all of Ron's teammates at the Secret Service and said, hey, you don't got to worry about them. Their kids are covered. So, and that I would encourage everyone to go to that website. That's a CBS News story that Catherine Herridge put on for us. And there's also a Ebony Sherrill's another story. That's about a 3.5-minute news story. It's
let's, awesome.
Can you do that?
Let's go ahead and share the website. And you want to watch this story real quick?
No, I think it's a little long, maybe.
Okay,
but it's.
I don't know about copyright stuff. I mean, you and I can sit here and watch it, but for us to play it over.
Well,
the video,
it's on our website, so anyone can do it.
Okay.
But it's our website is specialops.org.
Yeah, I wanted to.
But we're transparent. I mean, all of our financial documents are there, all of our testimonials.
If somebody wanted to help, obviously,
that's where to go. I think if you
slew
up a little bit or scroll up on the page, no, the other way. I'm sorry. You see donate there up on the right. Just click on that, and that's the way to give.
Looks like you're on a bunch of social platforms.
We're
YouTube,
we're on
there,
LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook.
Perfect.
And if you go back to the main page and you scroll down, I got to share this. This guy is awesome, Alejandro Villanueva.
Yeah.
So he's a West Point grad, right?
Oh, he is. I didn't know
he was an Army Ranger. He's in the 75th Ranger. So he does. That's a statement he said for us. He does My Cause, My Cleats. He did them for us 2 years in a row. In fact, I'm having dinner with him in Florida, back in Florida in a couple of weeks. But
first of all, you're not paying the bill.
Well, not but yeah, he's a beast.
Yeah.
I mean, he's like 6'8".
Yeah,
he's 6'8". He's a great guy, very humble, really, really intelligent, and just a patriot and believes in us. Another guy you may recognize, I don't think we got his link there, but you can Google it, is Cole Hauser, who plays Rip on Yellowstone. Yeah, he did a video for us. What a great guy.
And he's like the real deal. He's not your typical actor, right? I mean, he's a real.
We had John Fogerty from CCR play a song with his two sons and his daughter for us. We had
such a cool character in that.
Tom Johnson, Doobie Brothers, Lindsey Vonn did it. Yeah, it was very cool. Yeah, we had a lot of cool people that.
Yeah, Lindsay's from up here, the skier, right?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Olympic skier. She did a video for us. Steve Young from the 49ers.
All right.
Yeah, Ryan Jensen, the center for the Bucks. He did one for us.
Super Bowl champs this year.
Yeah.
Hey,
big
congratulations
year for Tampa.
on that too, by the way.
Big year for Tampa.
Yeah. What do
Things
you
were a
think
little
about,
crazy.
not to change the subject, but what do you think about Brady being down there?
Well, my wife's from New England, right? Oh, God, yeah.
Is that bad blood or what?
Yeah, I mean, I could have a sucking chest wound, and if it's Tom Brady, she'd step right over my body and suck it up, Buttercup. Tom Brady's here, But so we're big fans. He lives on Davis Island. He lives in Derek Jeter's house. He's renting it from
I didn't
him.
know that.
He's part owner of the Marlins, I think, or something. He used to play for the Yankees, obviously. But, yeah, it's cool. I think, and, they're very patriotic, very
what a cool
philanthropic
stadium, too.
minded. Yeah. We're season ticket holders.
Awesome.
Which didn't do us much good last year, but and we didn't get invited to the Super Bowl. We didn't, but
and how crazy is the Super Bowl was there?
I know, right? Yeah, first time ever.
Crazier,
yeah, right? It was cool. It was very cool.
I think the boat parade was my favorite, though.
When he threw the trophy? Yeah. And then Gronk was trying to get the mayor, Jane Castor, I'm a big fan of hers. So she used to be the police chief in Tampa.
Okay.
But Gronk was trying to get her to do shots.
Was she on Gronk's boat or something? Or?
I don't know. My wife was telling me about it.
I won't tell you what Gronk was doing with the trophy because it was even worse than what Brady did. Yeah.
I mean, listen, he's...
Those two.
Oh, yeah. Well, in fact,
hilarious.
I think Brady was on a late night show or something, and they said, well, what were you thinking when you threw the trophy from one boat to the other? And he said, I think we've established that I actually wasn't thinking. and if you watch the video of it, his daughter is right next to him, and his daughter's saying, caught on tape, no, Daddy, don't, Daddy. Yes.
That's good though, man. He deserves it.
Yeah,
I mean, he's got a few he could throw away. So
yeah,
I was just thinking about though, like, shit, man. If that thing would have went in the water,
there would have been a lot of people diving in that water.
Oh, yeah,
I don't think it would have been down there long, but that would have been an incomplete pass that would have haunted him for the rest of his life. Right? Yeah.
Wow, that's crazy. Well, man, your guys' foundation is amazing. I think it's so cool because it's a different approach than what most of them do.
Very unique.
And the people that it's helping is our future. I mean,
I think it makes our country better, right? I mean, I've told people if something happened to me, I got 3 sons, right? My, Youngest one is a sophomore. The other two are getting ready to graduate, one from a graduate program and one from his undergrad. But if you ask me, if something happened to me, what would I be most concerned about? It'd be the future of my kids. So this is a way, families get a lot of attention when we lose someone. I mean, there is an intense spotlight put on that family, right? There's people delivering meals. We call it Meals on Wheels, all that stuff to do everything for the family. But after that funeral and the memorial, that sort of goes away, and it sort of has to. I mean, we got a mission.
Yeah.
Right? We got to keep fighting. We got to keep being ready to fight. And so, they move on. And the government provides, insurance and things like that. But this is a way to maintain that lifelong commitment and honoring their sacrifice. And look, I didn't get out to do a nonprofit. But when this job came open, I mean...
And you were involved with it prior to getting
Well,
out,
not
or?
really.
Okay.
I guess I was involved as a customer, right?
Sure.
When I said we're putting those names on that memorial, but behind that is a whole family. Well, this is the way we help that family right here.
Yeah.
And there are other great organizations, that do different things for these families, but this education, this holistic approach to education is what we do. And you see the impact.
Yeah.
And not only does it change their lives, right? It allows these kids to reach their full potential, but it makes our country better.
100%. Yeah.
Absolutely. So, yeah, I took this job. I mean, I didn't know what I was going to do. I thought I might, end up at Boeing or Sikorsky or something. I didn't know. But I haven't regretted it.
You probably enjoy this a lot more than you would one of those
Very
jobs,
satisfying.
I would imagine.
And my VPs, Colonel retired Sean Corrigan, a Special Forces officer, spent his life in the SOF community. I mean, between us, we know these families. We've served with a lot of them.
Sure.
And, last thing is it's joint, right?
How many guys served underneath you that you're helping their families now?
Oh, I don't know a number, but many.
Yeah.
Many.
That's kind
160th
of cool,
had a
too.
lot of casualties.
It's not cool, but it's awesome that you're still involved.
Connected.
Yeah, connected.
Yeah, and we don't just support Green. We support everybody in SOF. So Navy, Marine, Army, Air Force, and those that work for SOF. In fact, you may have heard about it out here. It's in Utah. This is 2 years ago now, I think, close to it. There was the mayor of North Ogden, Utah, Major Brent Taylor, was a guardsman, and he was deployed to Afghanistan as part of his commitment to the Guard. He was the mayor of North Ogden. And he was shot and killed.
I did hear about it, yeah.
And he had a wife and I think 7 kids, don't quote me. But he was working for the 75th Ranger Regiment. He was working for a SOF unit, so his kids are part of our program.
That's so awesome. It's really great.
Yeah. It is cool. So
and
I appreciate
I'm sure
you
that
giving me that.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I mean, that was the main reason we wanted to have you on here, and then also so I could geek out on some military firepower. But
Now, listen, I'll talk helicopters all day. And my wife's like, really? Helicopters? You want to talk about helicopters? And I'm like, I have like zero interest in this. And I was like,
They're cool as shit, though, man.
Yeah.
And to see them fly, I love spending time in San Diego or anywhere where there's a military presence. And we just talked about this a couple podcasts ago. We were down in San Diego recording one with Andy Arabito. Awesome guy. But just the military presence there. When you're hanging out on Coronado Beach and those birds are just, I mean, it's up and down, up and down, up and down.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, those
it's
are a lot of
every
Navy
5
helos
minutes,
flying out of North Island.
Well, you got the Coast Guard. There's all kinds of aircraft. And then he owns Half Face Blades, which is these just awesome knives. He makes tomahawks. He's making a lot of knives for guys that deploy. He's a former SEAL. But
cool.
His shop is right by Miramar.
Oh.
So, yeah, there's all kinds of stuff going in and out of there, too, which is super cool. I'm sure your foundation, is super, super happy to have a couple real leaders there, too, right? I mean, you having 40 years of experience and, not all 40 of that was in leadership, but a good portion of it.
Yeah, that's accurate.
What's the biggest thing that you've learned being a leader or being in that position that you would pass on to anybody in any role?
Well, first I followed 2 other great leaders, right? Colonel retired John Carney, who was our first president and was there for 12, 13 years. And then I followed Vice Admiral retired Joe McGuire, a SEAL, who was there for 5+ years. And so what I'm doing is just building on their success. And I mean, the success that we're enjoying in the foundation, the level of support we're able to provide really goes back to the hard work of them and the staffs that were there then, and many of them are still there. So what I've learned about leadership in this job is, I remember when I was turning over with Joe McGuire, he took a position on the Trump administration as the director of the National Counterterrorism Center, and then finished out his tour as the acting director of national intelligence, which he met with the president every day. So he did a very good job there, and he's a great officer and a great man. But I remember talking, I said, well, how big's the foundation? I didn't really know anything about it. And he said, 16 people. And I remember thinking to myself,
you guys must work awfully hard.
Well, the counselors definitely do. I mean, I guess we're working right now, right? But, I don't think my wife's going to give me a lot of credit for that. But, I remember thinking to myself, 16 people, how hard can that be? I've commanded thousands of people, right? And geographically dispersed around the world, commanding. Yeah. But what I would say is I've learned a lot, right? It's, in the military, there's a certain culture. People say, well, it's the military. You just order them to do it and they do it. Well, it's not really like that. It's certainly not like that in a soft community. I mean, you still got to win hearts and minds. You still have to lead by example. You still have to do all those things. But what is a little easier is there's a common culture, a common set of values, common ethos, right? Even though the services are all
no matter
different.
What your race is, your background, where you're from, whatever. Yeah.
But civilians are a little different, right? I mean, so I had to learn about dealing with civilians. I had to learn about, healthcare and all those kind of things that I never worried about in the military. So what I would say about leadership is, one, it's a learned skill. Aaron and I had a discussion about this earlier, and I said, he said, well, there's some people that have natural abilities. I said, well, my belief is that it is a learned skill by and large, and that the skill sets required change. So, for instance, when I'm flying an aircraft and I'm the pilot in command of that aircraft, well, I'm exerting direct leadership over the rest of that crew. I'm leading that crew. Now, you contrast that with I'm the Army Special Ops Aviation Command commanding general. Now there's multiple layers of bureaucracy between me and who I lead, who I'm responsible for. So there's more of there's a communication skill set. There's different techniques about, how do I impart my vision and guidance for the command from me at this level and through multiple levels of bureaucracy down.
How does it trickle down?
Right. So, and that's, you've got to learn that stuff. And so I've learned a lot. And I think the most important thing that I've learned is, one, you never stop learning. And two, that for me at least, it's been the most challenging thing I've undertaken. And I think if you're really trying hard, you fail every day. Right? And maybe you fail in a way.
Taking the chances to fail almost.
Well,
right?
yeah, and maybe you don't handle a situation like you should. Maybe when I say fail, I'm not like epic, the organization
just talk
fails.
to my wife. She'll tell you.
Well, believe me, mine too. I mean, they're probably kindred spirits here. But, well, I made a decision that I should have waited for more facts, or I should have taken this family consideration into it. But I'm a big student of the art of leadership. I think, what I see in the civilian world is that there is what I learned in the military on leadership is very, very applicable and frankly sorely needed in corporate America.
I couldn't agree more with you. Yeah.
Now, I'm not saying that a military guy can step right in to be the CEO of a company out there. Sure. It's a different language. There's things you got to learn, but the intangible leadership things that I felt like I learned as a buck sergeant or a second lieutenant, a lot of those basics, I see people screwing them up in the corporate world.
And that basically comes down to would you say that's treating personnel or your employees or whatever it is, no matter what the scale is it communication towards them and then also delegating or something like that?
Well, you've got to empower, right? So you delegate authority. You don't delegate responsibility. So as the commander of the 160th, I'm responsible for everything that unit does or fails to do. I'm accountable for everything. Okay? I may not be culpable. Like I may have had a crew screw up in Afghanistan, but I'm sitting at Fort Campbell at the time, but I'm still accountable for that.
Right.
So, I think you got to treat people with dignity and respect. I have a unique view of leadership because I was that private, right? I was that, they call it, living under a mushroom where they're shoveling crap on top of me. So and that factors into how I deal with troops and families. I like to I learn a lot about a unit by spending time walking the line and talking with troops. And it doesn't mean that I shy away from hard decisions. Look, I led standards-based organizations, right? I lead one now. I tell people, hey, look, I want you all on the team, but we have standards. And, our mission is too important for these families to compromise our standards. And it's like when I was 160th, hey, we got a critical role. We're a national asset.
Yeah.
We have to be ready. And this isn't cut out for everybody. And it's not T-ball. Everybody doesn't get a trophy here. So accountability is part of that. And I'm not implying at all that you don't make those kind of hard calls, right? And many of them are painful.
Oh, I can only imagine, yeah.
Yeah, but you still got to apply the standards. You can do it with compassion, and you should do it with compassion, but at the end of the day, you got to do what's right for the organization. So I'm a big fan of it. I love discussing it. I love learning about it. And, I feel like I've been at this end of the spectrum, and now as a strategic leader, dealing with the joint staff when I was the director of operations at SOCOM.
Yeah, I got to ask, that's kind of my next question is, you've seen so many administrations in your career. Mm-hmm. When the leadership changes over you, what does that do to tempo, to all kinds of different stuff, how you guys approach situations? I mean,
well, whenever there is changing administrations, actually changing leadership in any organization has a disruptive effect, right? So when the administration changes, the president goes in right away. That's, one guy out, one guy in, one gal out, whatever.
Which is a crazy system to me now that I'm thinking about it. With somebody like you with 40 years of experience, right? And then all of a sudden this guy's got 4 years. Or maybe even a day, right? He's only got a day's experience. His first day as the president. You know what I mean?
Yeah, true. But, he's, generally they have some sort of experience. I mean, but it's disruptive because it's not that, that person's got his vision, but you've also got to replace all those political appointees, right? From the Secretary of Defense, Secretary Lloyd Austin now in the Department of Defense. But there's a myriad of undersecretaries, deputy assistant secretaries that are political appointees, and that's just in DOD. You got State Department, so you got to fill those positions. They got to get voted on by Congress, get confirmed. That takes time. So it's very disruptive, and different administrations want to have a different level of control over military stuff, and he's the commander in chief, and he should. But, they're all a little bit different. And some of them are going to want to be more prone to, funding domestic programs over the military. And, so there's a lot of uncertainty when the budget and all that kind of stuff. So,
yeah.
it can be disruptive.
Oh, I can imagine. I'm going to throw you a major curveball here.
Okay.
And it was something that was just released recently, and I just kind of want to get your thoughts with all your experience. These UFO releases that we just saw.
Oh, yeah.
Like, what's
those
your
Navy pilots that were seeing those?
I mean, they've been on some podcasts. They've been on some major ones.
Yeah.
And, there's some footage out there.
Well, I still haven't wrapped my brain around what it could be. Because, I think the things are traveling at Mach something, and they're doing like 90-degree turns. Yeah. You can't do that in a jet. Our physics won't allow you to do that. So I don't know. I'm glad they released it, but I'm like, okay. You boys ain't from
the
around
timing
here.
of it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, it's weird.
the middle of
You
a
know,
pandemic, like we got all this BLM stuff going on. Like, it was
yeah,
just,
there's a
it
lot.
was-
Yeah, this has
it was
been a
weird.
very challenging year. I think it certainly has made me wonder, which I haven't really wondered recently, about, are we alone?
Yeah.
You know, and I'm not a UFO dude or anything.
I'm
but
not
I'm
either.
Like, well, this is this guy's gun tape.
Yeah.
They're following with their targeting cameras, and I'm like, looks real to me.
Yeah. What do you got, Jeremy? I hear you. Jeremy wants to chime in so bad right now. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, no, listen. Yeah, I'm sorry, I'm not there to reassure you. I'll pump you up after the podcast.
Perfect. Well, you're doing some great things now that you're retired. Seems like you're working really hard still.
Yeah.
Are you doing anything for fun?
Yeah, I mean, I spent, I don't know, over three and a half years in combat zones over the last, time deployed. That doesn't count my time in Korea, and because I was alone. My family.
You have kids?
Yeah, I got 3 sons. My oldest just graduated NC State grad program. He got hired by John Deere. He's moving to Moline, Iowa.
Really?
Or no, Davenport, Iowa.
Okay.
Moline in Illinois, I guess. They're right there in that Quad City area. My middle one just is getting ready to graduate from Duke here in a month, and he just got hired by a company, Epic, up in Wisconsin, Davenport, I think. Or Madison, Wisconsin. And then my youngest is a sophomore at Clemson. Chemistry major,
Yeah.
Where my wife went. So we're big
Clemson
Tiger fans.
Tigers fans, yeah.
Yep.
Cool. That blood runs thick down there.
Oh yeah, and we love that place. It's a little teeny town, and it's a really cool area.
It is cool, yeah.
We go back for the military appreciation games and stuff. Awesome. See our kids, so yeah, we like it there.
So, do you have grandkids currently, or anything
Nope.
like that? Get to spend
My oldest is engaged. In fact, him and his fiancee were visiting about a week ago, and I reminded him that after they get married, my biological clock is ticking. And, it ain't about you. It's about me and and your mother and grandkids. So I don't think he was really impressed or felt any sense of urgency on that. But, no grandkids.
Yeah. That's great. Well, I really appreciate you coming in. I appreciate you spending some time with us. And more importantly, we're big proponents of the military here. I appreciate your service. So thank you for all of that.
No, hey, thanks for the opportunity. I'm always happy to talk to fellow patriots and quite frankly, to get a chance to plug the foundation a little bit. And one reason we keep our overhead so low is we just don't pay for advertising like this. And so this is an opportunity for us to share what we do and.
You're welcome back here anytime. Hit us up when you got an event or if you want to send somebody else in. I love what you guys are doing. We're on your side.
All right.
And
thanks,
if you just want to come back to the mountains and hang out, this is a great spot to hang out. So
no, it is. Yeah, we
got
don't
some
have
cool
a lot
stuff.
of mountain views in
Come
Florida.
back when there's not so much snow.
Yeah, I hear you.
We'll try to do a summertime podcast next time.
I'm on it.
Yeah.
You call, I'll come.
All right, perfect.
All right.
I got to ask you one more question. You've done quite a few of these podcasts. Do you have any questions that you're like, damn it, I wish they would ask me this during the podcast, or I wish they would ask me this about the foundation? Is there anything else that you want to put out there before we jump off?
No, I mean, there have been in the past, but nothing today. I mean, you allowed me to talk about the foundation, and I'm very grateful for that. And frankly, I enjoyed the discussion about leadership. I'm passionate about it. Again, I don't profess to be an expert by any means, but I've learned a lot, and I really enjoyed the conversation.
Awesome. Thank you so much again for coming in. Oh, sorry. Before we let you go, let's drop the website one more time. And if you got the Instagram handle.
Yeah, I don't have the Instagram. I mean,
Jeremy can look it up for us.
If he would put it, but specialops.org is our website. And again, I'm pretty sure you can find any question. You can answer any question you want on that. It goes into depth on all of our programs and what we're doing and how we do it.
And all the links are there.
Awesome.
Awesome, yeah.
And
So
then
like us-
can people reach out to you there?
Yeah, there's all the contact information there, and you can reach out to me if you got a question. Remind, hey, you
Really?
know, yeah.
Straight to the top.
Well, you know, the top being relative, but yeah, you can reach out, and I, you know,
All right.
I take every call.
That's great. Well, thank you so much again for coming in. We really appreciate it. We appreciate everybody listening. Go check out this organization, I'm screwing it up.
Specialops.org.
Specialops.org. Go check it out. Go donate. This is a great foundation, and help them out. Thank you, guys. Thanks for listening to the Mountainside Podcast. If you haven't had a chance to do this already, please take a moment, follow, like, subscribe, or rate on whatever platform you catch the Mountainside Podcast at. Also, if you'd like some more information on upcoming episodes, safety tips, access to all of our affiliates, and all the badass discounts that we get here at the Mountainside Podcast, check out themountainsidepodcast.com. We wanted to let you know that the Mountainside Podcast is now available on Patreon. If you'd like access to bonus footage, behind-the-scenes content, ad-free listening, and much more, simply find the link in our bio or visit patreon.com/themountainside.